The Allen Labor government is so financially incompetent, it's going to shake down grieving Victorian families for more tax through probate, simply to cover its own budget black holes. It's a disgraceful attack on grieving Victorian families that they will hike probate fees, and not only hike them by more than 1,000%, well above the needs of cost recovery. Financially, Victoria is doing so badly under the Allen Labor government that it's not only hard to live, it's getting more expensive to die in Victoria because of these probate fees, and they are substantial increases. These are not small amounts of money. And when families are going through a period of grieving, for the Allen Labor government to stand there with a collection plate, and a big one at that, is not only unfair, it's unconscionable. It's not even based on cost recovery. It's shaking down Victorian families as much as the Allen Labor government can, simply because it can't manage money, and it's going to attack grieving Victorian families. They need to come out urgently, the Premier or the Treasurer or the Assistant Treasurer, and can this idea immediately. Victorians are already doing it tough during this cost of living crisis, and for the Allen Labor government to be even contemplating this is quite disgraceful. It just goes to show how badly our state is being mismanaged by the Allen Labor government that they would even contemplate this. Just quickly on the SRL, I just wanted to refer to the fact that the Federal Minister, Catherine King, yesterday reiterated the Commonwealth Government's position, the Federal Labor Commonwealth Government's position, that the $2.2 billion which has been earmarked for the suburban rail loop is contingent on the Allen Labor government submitting the business case and all relevant documents to the federal government, which the Allen Labor government still has not done. Just how badly do things have to become under this government for it to realise what it's putting Victorians through? If the Allen Labor government wants to proceed with this project, then why hasn't it submitted the basic documentation to the Albanese Federal Labor government? It's not doing it because even it knows its business case doesn't stack up. It's time the Allen Labor government realised what everybody else realised long ago. We don't have the money for the suburban rail loop. It costs too much. Right? It won't actually solve the state's needs and our transport needs at that. It needs to realise that it's stubbornly persisting with a project that cannot be afforded, cannot be justified, and which the Allen Labor government cannot claim is funded. The Allen Labor government doesn't even have its own share, it seems, because it hasn't been prepared to stipulate in the budget in May, just a few weeks ago, what money it's actually going to allocate to the suburban rail loop. We don't know how much, if anything, it's going to collect by way of value capture. And we now know that the Federal Labor government is walking away from this suburban rail loop project. It knows the business case just isn't there. So when will the Allen Labor government realise what everybody else realised long ago and walk away from this project? Don't sign any more contracts. It would be financially reckless to sign Victoria up to this massive project when nobody else is contributing. I can't think of anything more financially irresponsible than for Premier Jacinta Allen to sign contracts on the suburban rail loop, when as recently as yesterday the Federal Labor government is saying they don't even have basic information about this project. I hope the government under Premier Jacinta Allen realises how irresponsible it would be to proceed on that front. Just wanted to talk about health cuts. The budget woes that Victoria faces under Premier Jacinta Allen are so bad now that health services are cutting back on elective surgeries, cutting back on staffing. It is now becoming a very real and present risk that Victorians will die as a result of budget pressures on our health networks because of the financial mismanagement of the Allen Labor government. If hospitals are cutting back, even with elective surgeries on weekends, if they're cutting back on staffing, how can that provide a safe health environment for staff and for patients as well? This is how serious our financial woes are in Victoria under the Allen Labor government, that lives will be put at risk because of the severity and savageness of these budget cuts by the Allen Labor government. Finally, before I hand over to Brad, I just wanted to pay on behalf of the Coalition our deep respects and condolences for the passing of Stephen Romanu, a leading figure in multicultural affairs in Victoria, a champion for the restoration of full freedoms and the territorial rights and aspirations of the Ukrainian people. He's a great Ukrainian, a great Australian, a great Victorian. And I know the government is considering this, but I certainly want to put on record on behalf of my coalition colleagues that we believe Mr Robin New deserves a state funeral. I think there's no one in Victoria who's been involved in multicultural affairs who would deny that Stefan was a champion of diversity, a champion of our multicultural success. He was one of our leading architects of Victoria's multicultural success story, a beacon not only for the rest of the nation, but for people across the world. And he deserves that recognition, and I hope the government joins with us in holding a state funeral for Mr Robin. I'll hand over to Brad.
Thanks very much, JP. I'll be brief because I can see you're anxious to ask questions. Look, a 650% increase in probate fees, that's not cost recovery. That is covering Labor's debt. $188 billion is our current debt level in this state. We're the highest tax state in the nation. There are two things in life that were certain up until today, death and taxes. But now, after 10 years of Labor, we can add one more, and that's death taxes. This should not be the legacy of a Labor government that cares, of any Victorian government that actually cares. We call on the government to be very clear with the Victorian people that they will not proceed with this. Today the Premier's been out there saying that we've been fear-mongering. Well, no, we're not fear-mongering, we're truth-telling. But we're actually saying to the Victorian people, revealing to the Victorian people, the plans of the Allan Labor government. The Allan Labor government have got a financial situation that is, frankly, at this point, going to be very difficult to repair. And what they're doing is coming out after people at a very vulnerable time in their life, after families at a vulnerable time in their lives to try and cost recover to service their debt and to service their interest payments they've racked up after 10 years. This is the state of affairs in Victoria. This is something that truly no one should be proud of. I might hand back to JP on other matters, unless you had a specific question on that.
Trying to cover the cuts to court services, Victoria.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Pat. They're cutting costs. They're cutting the budget to court services, to youth justice. We've got a magistrates court backlog of more than 80,000 cases at the moment. The way to actually manage this properly is to manage the budget properly. You don't hit vulnerable Victorians at one of the most challenging times of their lives in order to make up for the economic mismanagement of the last 10 years. That's not the right thing to do. Clearly we're opposed to it.
Gas, yeah. Becky, you've come out pretty critical of the government's gas policy. Occasionally you see the government, Becky, at loggerheads over the policy, but what did you make of their contribution to energy debate?
I really welcome Becky's contribution to the debate on gas, and they're saying what we've been saying, and so many other Victorians and Victorian stakeholders and business groups are saying we need gas. The only group of people who don't seem to understand how desperately Victoria needs gas to shore up our energy system is the Allan Labor government. The Allan Labor government has been so ideologically opposed to the importance of gas in our energy mix that it's putting households and businesses at risk. We're seeing businesses leave the state. We're seeing Victorian households pay up to nearly 30% more for their energy and over 20% more for their gas than they were 2 years ago. The Allan Labor government must stop being so ideological about this. On the other hand, we have a common sense approach that supports the transition to renewables but understands and believes firmly that gas must be a part of our energy system going forward to firm up renewables in our system.
Becky, at the risk of Rudy, I feel for you, mate. Becky say that they fear a repeated the Longford disaster in 1998. Is that a bit sort of stretch too far?
Becky represent the views and aspirations and concerns of their constituent business members. And I accept what they're saying. They have concerns about our gas system and the need for Victoria to have gas supplies to overcome the shortfalls that the energy market operator, the ACCC and other experts in the field are identifying for Victoria and New South Wales as well, I should add. So we see the importance of it. Becky sees the importance of gas in our system. Why doesn't the Allan Labor government?
So it's not a step too far?
No.
On hospital budgets, the Premier says that none of the budgets have been locked in yet, and then he talks about bed closures or elective surgery pauses as just scaremongering. What do you say to that?
Oh, can we just end the farce on this? We know from health services that they've been told by the Allen Labor government your budgets are going to be cut. Can Premier Jacinta Allen seriously think that she can fool the Victorian people with semantics like that simply because they haven't dropped the hammer on health services yet? But we all know they will. We know these cuts are coming. Health services are telling us that's what the government has told them. These cuts are real. They represent a threat to the safety of Victorian patients, and the Allen Labor government cannot be trusted to manage money or our health system. Thank you very much.
Thank you.